Hello and welcome back to the third installment of this EP blog. This is Industry. This is the third track that I am working on. Sorry about touching the buttons, you probably hear that. So this has been made again with the vast majority of field recordings and just my own creations. Not much has been made from other software instruments. So let's jump straight in. I'm going to try and do this quicker because the last video was like 10 or 15 minutes. So to get that industry vibe, industrial, we need kind of like metallic sounds and something rolling and that's continuous and sluggish, I guess you could say, because it's industrial, it's working in the industry. I rendered some audio. Already I forgot what I rendered, and I put it into Sampler just here. And it came out with this fantastic rolling drone. It's almost like someone's hit in one of those big oil drums that's empty, really far back, flooded it with reverb. When that MIDI's triggering, it's a little bit abrupt, but in the mix, you can't really hear that as much. So that's a really, really good start. And then obviously a kick. So the first kick I made was in Operator. Really just a simple one. I felt a bit lazy because usually I'd use a collection of my own samples, manipulate them into a kick drum, but this was just a bit quicker. And it's still going with my ethos, and my manifesto is I am not using any samples from sample packs online. So got a big thumping kick going. That's not thumping because it's a high pass kick. But then if we scroll this way, this one is a thumping kick. If you're listening on a phone or some crap device, you probably won't hear that as well as you could, so put on some good headphones. What next? Right, the drums were good fun. Again, layered claps, as you can see here. So the first clap, which is this one. So almost just like noise, white noise with a transient on top. Zoom in. Really subtle. I didn't want this track to be all about the percussion, more about really just a thumping kick, a nice squishy bass line, and that kind of rolling industrial vibe. Now my second clap, let's see what I got. Ah, nice. Oh, as you can see here, titled Walking on Rocks. I was walking on rocks. Funny that. And I actually layered that because I thought they complemented each other, because clap one by itself was nice. It's crispy, it's sharp. But this added, again, a bit more humanization to the clap. You probably can't hear that. I could barely hear that, but it's just another texture just to complement the clap a little bit. I got loads of hats and hi-hats going here. So the first one, really sizzly clap, and what I used on that was the Universal Audio Pultec EQ, and just dramatically flooded the top end and then just brought the level down again. And then a closed hat. This is more of like a tick and a little bit of percussive fun at the end just to make it a bit more interesting, I guess you could say. So those two together. Another hat, because I just love layering these. That one, this one is just really on the grid, ticking away, keeping the rhythm. So all of those together. And I made a shaker as well, of course, out of something. I can't remember anymore. But this came out quite well. What I do is I make these, I just print them to audio, forget about the MIDI, get the idea down, I just forget about it and use that audio. It's a good way of kind of actually progressing. If I kept that as a MIDI instrument, I would just forever be manipulating it. So just get it printed. If you've got Ableton, you just freeze it or freeze and flatten. And what that does is apply all effects and just whack, you got audio. This one came out nice. Definitely put a sidechain emulator on it on the 16th note, so it's coming up and down. I slightly pan that. You can see the left channel is louder than the right, so I pushed it to the right a bit. I could have just made it mono, but you kind of want that difference in your left and right ears, if you're lucky enough to have two ears. And then the bass, right, this is where it gets fun. What did I do with the bass? I used an analog. I got lazy again, because sometimes we need to progress, but I have made my own bass. I haven't used a bloody sample pack or just grabbed a loop, which is what everyone does these days. So it just makes it original and fun because you made it, and I've manipulated all of the controls. This is giving me a Boris Brecher vibe, I guess you could say. I don't like using that word. Just pretty much one note. Now and again it changes. Dramatic EQ and a Tal filter, of course, which really gives it movement. And then actually, to give it a bit more movement, I was playing around with the velocity. No, I wasn't. They're all the same. That must have been something else. So let's have a listen to the kick, the drums, and the bass all together from here. So the kick is thumping nicely, can actually hear the bass as well, but that just sounds a bit too pure and a bit too computerized, I guess you could say. So then I made some textures. I've got this one here, one texture loop. These really make the track feel fun, or just feel like real music, I guess, because all of that stuff by itself is just computer nonsense. Well, it's all computer nonsense, isn't it? So that one, I just dramatically flooded the bass with reverb on a send channel. I would have done that and then recorded the audio from my send channel, which is a little plate. Got this free from Soundtoys. Sometimes they give it away for free. It's on about 50%, I guess you could say, 4 seconds. That's a lot. But what's good is grabbing that reverb and then recording it to another track. You can actually just use it as a texture. I would have EQ'd that a little bit. Brought down the width because it was way too wide, and it was kind of almost going to start making phasing issues. So in context, let's just listen to the first part of the intro.
Welcome to the industry. Welcome. Come to the industry.
So you can see how all of these textures, like that rolling industrial drone, is really just bringing it all together. And then this one, that was just leading it in. Filter it out.
The industry.
And then we've got another texture here. Let's see what that one is. Okay, again, I have no idea how I made that. It sounds like there's a kick in there. I might have probably flooded all of my drum tracks, sent them to a sends channel, and then recorded that. That's got such a metallic timbre to it. So I knew that would be perfect. So you could probably just about hear that. It just fills up all the gaps, because with the drums, the kick, and the bass, merely alone, it's just not enough. Texture loop. Again, I have no idea how I made that. You can see I've frozen that 2 or 3 times. So just render, and then I came up with this really weird glitchy loop, which you can't really hear. It just, again, fills in all of those gaps, but complements it. I don't want to just put in trash for the hell of it. Been playing around with a synth drift. This is fun. I'm probably going to change this. I'm not too happy with the synth, but just to add a bit of melodics, just imitating the bass really. Got some nice whooshy effects. I would have made this myself, probably from water, like really fast rushing water. There's no EQ on that. I might have EQ'd it and then flattened the track. Reversed it, of course, to kind of pull you in.
Welcome.
And what I want to talk about is these incredible vocals, which
To the industry.
sounds so good because anything in a German accent sounds so much better. That was actually an AI tool, text to speech, and in their terms and conditions it says you can use the audio files for whatever you want, so you can legally use them in your compositions. And yeah, it just gives it, again, well, something else to listen to, but especially in this thick German accent, it feels like I'm back in Berlin in some industrial club. So let's go from my build 2 here and straight into the drop. Oh, one other thing that I made was zap. When I got into the second drop composition, of course you immediately just copy and paste the vast majority. When you play it back, it's just the same, so you needed to introduce another element. So I came up with this, what I call a zap. It's more of like a whip, so you can hear it whipping up. That's almost like someone, dare I say it, whipping you to work faster or work harder. You get it. So let's just play it from here.
The industry.
So you get the idea. I need to change the reverb on the vocals. It wasn't what I remember. And also that whip sound, that's a bit too, the zap sound, it's a bit too in your face. And I think just, throwing reverb on it isn't going to do much help because there's a lot going into my plate reverb. We'll see. But this is Industry. Thank you very much for watching. If anyone out there has any questions about this or production techniques, let me know.